Hello, everyone in here, in Logomo, Turku, and there online, behind online stream. And welcome to the Songs and Sessions 2026 finale. We are about to start the first panel here, and we have all the participants here. And just going to introduce you, Rafael Pereira, Managing Partner, Tinet's Executive Trustee, India Music Exchange, and Abhijit Singh, Producer, Film Village Line Production, Taran Soni, President for EMEA and APAC at Shorts TV, Rosa Toivonen, a producer, Good Hand Film and TV, and moderator Jani Joanniemi. And now the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so my name is Jani Joanniemi. I'm the head or program director at Europe Asia Roundtable Sessions, which has put together this larger program with the songwriting camp and this event here. And with all the partners. So I don't know, let's do a short round of introductions first. Maybe start with you, Rafael. So what connects you with the topic today, the IP and international collaboration?
Well, I like to call myself an intellectual property strategist. So what I do is at the center of law, business, and technology, at least as far as it relates to the creative economy. And IP is at the center of the creative economy. That's what we used to call the orange economy when the term was first coined in the Dutch Parliament and referred to this industry we all love. And so with IP in the center of it, my day-to-day is advising every single creator that I speak to on what falls within copyright and trademark, patent, designs, geographical indications, traditional knowledge and cultural expression, so on and so forth. And it's not for them necessarily to remember, but I think there's a Finnish expression, something about circling a square. I heard it for the first time a couple of days ago. But I think it's important to identify that legal systems are pretty rigid, but we need to kind of bend and mend them to our benefit, and that's what I try and do on a daily basis. I kind of circle the square canvas that we have and try and help protect creators and help them monetize their creations across the board.
Thanks. And Abhijit?
Hi everyone, I'm Abhijit. I'm based out of Mumbai, and I run a company which is into production services, and we are focused on bringing foreign productions to India and taking Indian productions to Europe for filming. And we also have a distribution office that we run out of Poland in Europe, which distributes Indian movies for the European market in cinemas.
Hi everyone, my name is Rosa. I'm based in Helsinki. I'm a producer, also a sort of, I think I've found a place as a sort of connector, so I like to do co-productions, connect the dots many times. They could be production companies, or they could be connecting funds with a project or something like that. And of course, living this time of disruption and change in consuming habits, we are all scratching our heads, what are the ways to go, and thus interested to chat about this more.
Thank you. As I've just picked up today, moi is hello in Finnish, so moi. My name is Taran, and I head a short film platform we call Shorts TV, and short films are springboard. They act like a springboard for filmmakers, and they also make a start for bigger IPs, which is an important part of the discussion today. The other hat that we wear is we run talent and skill development programs. They're also one of the important bits or subjects that we talk about is how to protect your IP, because all of you here who have created these masterpieces, you got to make sure that you protect what you have built today, and we tend to, help guide how they should be going about it. And of course, Rafael does it for a living.
Yeah, so India Music Exchange that you also help steer. You've been a partner in the songwriting camp that just finished, and where the songwriters were co-writing songs. And they were doing so there in the beginning of the songwriting camp there was briefs around audiovisual production series and films and so on. But I think India and the European markets differ in their relationship to the audiovisual, in a sense that in India it's traditionally been very connected, the film and music. How can you tell us more about that and how it's changing, and what kind of maybe new opportunities it's opening between music and audiovisual?
So I think I've explained this to a lot of the writers who were present with us, but I'll try and put it in a nutshell. So India, as a music market, didn't as a standalone music market, or the music industry that in all of your countries, wasn't given the room for its independence or to grow on its own. It was treated as a way to sell gramophones pre-independence. We got our independence from the British in 1947. Post that, it was treated as a necessity to have on radio broadcast, and that was more social behavioral change messaging and things like that. So it was really commissioned for public service announcements, but just with a good tune or a good beat. Some of them are pretty cool and pretty sampleable today, so you should go through that library. But then came the era of film, and film was also went through this whole social behavioral change messaging, commissioned films. And what really stayed with the people were not necessarily the dialogues from those films, but the songs. So like Desh Ki Dharti, Jai Kisan, Jai Jawan. You would think of the songs of those films more than the film, the dialogues of the film, or certain scenes of the film. And because the music then became so integral to the films, that became the formula for success in Indian film. And of course, there's multiple schools of Indian film, so you won't necessarily see that. We all get easily mistake Bollywood to be the entire film industry in India, and it's not. It's not even doing that well nowadays compared to the other language markets in India. What then happened was we had all of these artists, these writers, these labels who were creating great music that didn't really suit these films. So somewhere in the 90s, a bunch of labels and artists decided that it was about time someone released music that was not associated with the film, and we classified that as non-film music, or you would call music, and and so through that was really the birth of some of the great the great Indian independent artists. And they were signed to major labels, but they were called independent because it was independent of film. So the artists like Alisha Chennai and Lucky Ali, and I think Gurdas Maan had so many great albums not associated with film. Daler Mehndi, it was known in European tours as the Balle Balle guy, but yeah, that was really the birth of an industry that today, due to the pandemic, has also accelerated to be the 15th largest music market in the world. And it's got so much of headroom because we've got another 250, 300 million people coming on to streaming services or yet to come on to streaming services in India. And I think that's a few times more than the size of Europe. So that's
Size of Finland.
yeah.
Yeah, Abhijit, you work in the sort of a crossroads of international and Indian audiovisual productions. What kind of let's say opportunities or and challenges do you see at the moment, and what's the sort of where is it moving in that sense?
So I think the challenge always with bringing any international production, either bringing them into India or bringing them from India to Europe, first is before we solve the questions for the director, or before we solve the production problems, we need to find a way to bridge it culturally. So that becomes the first step on any international production, to kind of find a workflow or an ecosystem that both cultures can work together and work well. Because if that does not go right in the next 60 days, we might end up killing each other. So I think that becomes the first challenge, and that's the first step to kind of put together any cross-border collaboration. And definitely after that, I mean, it is very important for us to see how we can find solutions for them, keeping in mind the aesthetics, that we are filming American production or a German production in India, but we know that it's not for an Indian audience, it's for a Western audience. So our crew, our head of departments that are involved in that process, to kind of make sure that they have that in mind, they have the sensibilities and aesthetics they can align with to deliver what we are looking at for the producers. So I think it goes beyond film. It goes beyond just the regular process of doing your job, but it's more to understand that culture, understand that market, and understand the film ecosystem on a global scale.
How do you see like India, like you were referring to, like a couple of hundred people, couple of 100 million people are still about to join the streaming platforms, but India for the past 10 years has experienced this massive explosion of internet usage, in a sense that I think 10 years ago it was a couple of 100 million people online, and now it's close to a billion people online, and they've joined, they've logged in Netflixes and Amazons and Spotify's and so on. So how do you see that changing the sort of cultural gap or cultural or the relationship to international co-productions and international productions?
I mean, a big challenge India has, or the West has faced in India for a very long time is, other than mainstream Hollywood, we would never find distribution. It's such a big market which is consuming content right, left, and center. But it was always a very localized market, focused on Indian, like Hindi and other Indian regional languages. And plus, obviously, because English for us is not in a way a foreign language. It's more something we grew up with naturally. So a lot of the tier 1 cities, or the urban or metro cities, how we call it, are kind of always used to watching English content, and that's why Hollywood performed well. But French cinema, Italian cinema, everyone, they tried to make this push in India for a very long time, but were not able to find a consistent way of distributing these films, because it was cinema or television, and they were not able to find this footfall. So I think the positive side of streaming culture or streaming is definitely on an international scale. It has given visibility to Korean films, French cinema, French shows, Korean dramas. A lot of people consume what we have from the Nordics, a lot of crime and investigation and stuff. So I think the positive side is that it's opened the distribution and kind of consumption for this market. So even if it happens that there is a fatigue of the platforms or streaming and people don't want to watch anymore, at least you've kind of made them aware and opened them to consuming this content. So if I were to bring it in cinemas after 10 years, it wouldn't be an alien thing for people. So that's kind of the most positive side.
Great. So Rosa, you have a long relationship with India, and you've actually produced films in India. So can you tell a little bit about that history and how you've seen it?
Yes, of course.
change?
I was just thinking, my mind was racing when we were discussing, because it's always, of course, when we're thinking of how we can scale our businesses, it's a volume game. And of course, India has such an advantage in a way of volume of population compared to Finland. So we have 5 million people, a bit more in Finland. And I remember when I first went to India in 1992, and I remember watching TV and seeing advertisement for ballpoint pens. And I was thinking, like, I've never ever in my life seen an advertisement for a ballpoint pen. But in a country with this many people, if everyone buys a ballpoint pen, that's a really big business. So already there, you sort of understood it's a completely different world because of the incredible volume of people. Whereas here, let's say I used to work in a company that produced one of the biggest box office hits in Finland ever, which is called Unknown Soldier. It's a war movie based on a book that was cleverly timed to sort of come out on the 100 years of Finnish independence. And it got about 1.1 million admissions in cinemas, which in Finland is like incredible. For India, probably you would be really like depressed if your movie got like 1 million admissions. So, you know, it's also like we can't even sort of understand the amazing volume that you guys have. And so, of course, we can only dream of sort of reaching those audiences that you have, and our small audiences are quite small in comparison. I did film a film in India. I've actually filmed 2 or 3 documentaries and then 1 fiction film. On the fiction film, I was the director as well as a producer, and for there I always remember that we discussed this with Abhijit, because he's doing line production and production services, that there are these wonderful people called sport boys that are basically like sort of generalist runners that are just there to like bring you an umbrella or like bring you some water or take your laundry somewhere or do whatever you need. And I fell in love with the sports boys, so I wish someday we'll have sports boys in Finland, but of course we don't, because to employ a person in Finland costs much more than the $5 a day that we paid for the sport boys. Maybe they've come up a little bit, but still like that. So I think in general it's interesting to think about also what you said, that you got your independence in 47, and actually we got our independence in 1917, and actually for countries we are still relatively new. Obviously we already had 100 years, but we have had the need to sort of find our identity within the culture, and of course sort of reinforce our identity. And I think for that, creating your own IP is the biggest treasure ever. And of course the IP can be based on books or games or even now you can create original IP that will become an IP that you can exploit and monetize on, like the Finnish movie Sisu, which I don't know if you're aware of that, but that's a sort of example of a film that was made for a relatively small budget, yet it traveled quite well. It doesn't have much text. As you've seen, Finns are not that talkative, and the guy in Sisu is not that talkative at all. So I think he says his first line when he takes his gold to the bank at the very end of the movie. But so, you know, that obviously was quite, well, I think I digressed. But anyway, this was what came to mind.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. So Tarun, so yeah, Shorts TV does work in short form, short films. So and I guess you have a big presence in India, even though you operate globally. But so India actually, for the audience, India is the largest market per users for YouTube and Instagram, and I guess all the international
For everything.
social, yeah, pretty much. So how do you see in the short form space? How do you? What kind of new trends do you see? What kind of work are you doing? And why is India so important for you guys?
Well, obviously, I mean, for very obvious reasons, you know, it's India gives you the volumes which no other country gives you. Okay. Of course, you know, when it comes to pricing the product, you know, they're pretty much you're 90% discounting it when you're selling things in India. But it's the volume, it's a volumes game, and hence it helps. It's also a very advanced market in terms of users, because you get surprised that the number of genres people have appetite for. Okay, I still remember back in 2018 when we launched the product, we went there with zero expectations, and we thought, what's the best way to, you know, launch this product? So we said, okay, we're gonna do a 4-city tour. Okay, we organize screenings at PVR, which is India's biggest cinema, and we called journalists and some of the short film actors, actress. And the 4th day when we launched, and I still remember it was on Tara Play, we crossed 100,000 subscribers within 3 days of launch. So me and my colleagues were looking at each other. What did we just achieve? You know, it is so fabulous, and especially, you know, short films as a category. It's a fairly unknown category. Even now, even today. The awareness isn't a lot. Lots of times people don't look at short the way they look at features. But they are the hardest craft to master because you don't have the luxury of time. So every short, every dialogue has to make sense. You know, it's all about precision. That's what shorts are all about. And but you know, just coming back to the main topic of discussion, which is IPs, you know, short films have been a pioneer in IP creations because, you know, we've seen so many shorts which were turned into feature and then they become IPs. You know, a very recent example of The Boiling Point, which is a British film, and, you know, it was turned into a feature. Whiplash, again, a very famous American film. It was a short, the way it started. They pretty much took the same shots in the feature as well. It's a great springboard for filmmakers across the globe, and we've had some amazing learnings from India, you know, because Indian filmmakers are really amazing when it comes to the ideas and the topics and the genres that you looked at when you watch those films. It really opens your eyes. And they tend to travel very well because the topic, the more local the topic is, it's going to have a global appeal because we are all very, very inquisitive. We want to know what's going on in the world. So, yeah.
Great. And yep, we can go that way as well. Yeah, I mean, we are talking about India being this huge market and big numbers and so on, but India is also a very complex market. That's been, evident at the songwriting camp also. That was just finished with all the languages in the songs and so on. So what I learned recently, I attended a IP market in Mumbai, and I learned that there's actually a long tradition for adaptations and remakes in the film industry, and that's because there's been actually within the market there's been from Hindi Hindi adaptations of a Telugu film or something like that. So so there's can you Abhijit, you work in that space, so can you sort of explain a little bit of that and what the international opportunity is there?
So I think the emergence of adapting content, may it be from other languages or foreign languages, starts with the fact that it's such a competitive market in terms of the number of broadcasters, streaming platforms, studios, the amount of theatrical release. I mean, post-COVID, you have less and less theatrical release, but pre-COVID, there were producers in court fighting for a release date every month. This was the situation because there were 5 films landing every Friday, and the bigger productions wanted it. So it's kind of this high demand ecosystem that needs to churn out projects at a certain pace. That in terms of mainstream Bollywood films, they first announce their release date and then they go into production. So they are always working against a timeline. And in a situation like this, you need to deliver content at a certain speed. And because original content and content creator, they would take their time and they would take their arc to kind of get to develop something. This this need of adapting for fast turnarounds and filling in the gap kind of came into existence. And yes, it's been a lot of productions. So basically, it started with South adapting a lot of Hindi productions at that time, which were not licensed. They were just ideas that were taken. Then it came with Hindi cinema adapting a lot of foreign concepts. And it goes on from films. And obviously now, because the structure is more legalized, there are studios operating internationally. So they have their own presence. They can spot what their films are. So people are more doing it in a structured manner now. But it continues, and it continues to grow even with the series format. So 24, The Night Manager, all these series have been adapted to India already and doing pretty good. There is Invisible Guest, the Spanish movie adapted to India, performed very well at the box office. There have been French titles, there have been Italian titles, there have been Dutch shows. So a lot of adaptation works, and there's also an interesting way which some Korean productions now start to bring into India is they don't want to sell or license their IP. What they want to do is they want to collaborate with you and co-produce these projects in your language. So we have a couple of Korean companies who set up shop in Bombay, and they don't produce anything by themselves. What they do is collaborate with local producers, but instead of licensing it out, they take a backend and then do it with you. So it's also a tool where people have started to co-produce their existing libraries in different languages, and it works really well, especially when it comes to genre films. I think it takes a market, and I think a market as big as India in terms of consumption. A lot of times you remake it in Hindi, then you have a Tamil or a Malayalam or a Telugu remake of it. So it kind of goes on. I recently worked on a German production, and the same producer, his previous film is now getting remade in India, and it's been already adapted in 17 countries. So I think it is an opportunity. It's also a kind of a revenue stream which is booming in India.
So is there how for to Raphael maybe, like, is there I think you're working in the IP space a lot. So is there a sort of a pan-Indian market for music or films like that covers whole of India?
You mean market in the sense like an event, or do you mean is there an
Uh,
opportunity?
Is it very split between the regions, or do you have like when you are releasing, for instance, music or films, do you target a specific market in India?
Maybe I'll speak about film and then get to music, because the music industry in India doesn't necessarily think of creating a song in one language and then going into other languages with that same song. It's not something that the labels and publishers are used to at this point. Um, I don't know if it's a bias or what, but there are publishers in India who'd look at taking a Hindi song um, and trying to get a Spanish version made out of it, but not another Indian language for whatever reason. But on the film side, if you look at producers in the south of India, they used to adopt a stance wherein they would, of course, they're making nowadays they're making a film in 4 languages, and sometimes they're shooting in 3 languages as well. Though they plan to release in maybe even 13 languages in India. They could have a plan for that, but when it comes to post production, they often sit down and say, okay, let's look at our primary language and let's see how well it's doing in the state outside of which the language originates from. And then based on that first weekend, then they'll look at, okay, let's get the dub out for this language. Let's subtitling. I mean that's now de facto because of the platforms, but the dub was crucial. But we have a film that has to be censored in every language. So you go to the the Central Board of Film Certification, and it's not necessarily it's not necessarily the bad guys anymore. But for example, just translating something into another language is not necessarily enough. So there are a lot of sensibilities that cultures that are associated within language groups in India, and so it's important to translate around that. And I'll give you an example. In South Indian language, Randi means welcome, but in Hindi it means prostitute. So when when you just when you subtitle your film and try to have it released in in its original language, it doesn't get the certificate for some instance, right? The reason I just mentioned to you. Now, but of course, I have a few clients who invest in language markets where it's above 30 million native speakers. They would seriously invest in an Indian language where there's at least 30 million native speakers, and there's quite a few languages that have at least 30 million people speaking those languages. But when it comes to, let's say, the secondary rights, as we like to call them, a lot of them miss out because they're not thinking, or at least they weren't thinking, how do we monetize other languages? How do we try and upsell our IP to other studios, to other producers? And now we have specific instances of that other model. We have post-pandemic. I think the biggest success at that point was a film called Pushpa, and Pushpa was had its OST in 2 languages, and Telugu and Hindi as well, right? Both languages had a different music label that the music was sold to, and the Hindi music was sold to India's biggest label, the world's biggest YouTube channel called T Series, and the Telugu version was sold to Aditya Music in the south of India, a Hyderabad-based label. Now, you would assume that um, you know maybe the songs would do well depending um, on how many people actually speak the language that the song is distributed to. But for example, the lead song, I wish I could have played it for everyone. It would have been a nice moment. But "U Antava" is kind of the single that carried the film, and we do have these singles that are released almost 3 weeks before the film. It works a lot better than trailers today. Producers put everything into it. They'll probably spend the budget of 10 Finnish films to shoot that one dance sequence in a movie, because that is the promo, that is the trailer that actually gets 100 million admissions, as you would call them. And "U Antava" was the Telugu version, and "U Bolega" was the Hindi version that was put out by T Series. If you check T Series on YouTube right now, you'll see that I mean, if they have a video on YouTube which is less than 100 million views, they fire 100 people from their team. Right? That's the kind of that's the success that they expect. And for whatever reason, the non-Telugu speaking markets, including the Hindi speaking markets, they like the Telugu version of the song "U Antava," and T Series just could not understand why this was happening. And you have, I mean, I barely speak one of those languages with an accent, and you just have non-native speakers adopting this song in a foreign language. It's foreign to me, and singing that, choosing that as opposed to the language they actually understand, and only later realizing that the lyrics of the two songs don't mean the same thing. And that also changes with the language, but it's just it sounds better when you sing it in Telugu. It has that oomph, it has that feeling, and the Hindi version, although it tries to do the same thing, it just can't deliver. It's even got the same singers on it, and it so this is, I mean, uh, I wanted to answer your question, but I also wanted to point out that it's not necessary that that making your content accessible in another language is going to mean success for you. Um, it's not just about translation, it's about transliteration and understanding context and sensibilities in India, because we are a continent in a country. And so it's really important to have local partners who understand that. And uh, Abhijit and I were chatting about, like, for example, why he chooses not to work with distributors in certain market and really work himself and distribute something himself, is because he understands the context, he can explain the context and kind of pitch it out there. And India is really all about that context and timing. Yeah.
Thanks. Do we have time still, or was it 6 minutes? Okay, great. So thanks. So India, you need the local partners, and it's a very complex place.
Disney's releasing. I mean, the last Marvel film was in 14 Indian languages,
Right.
available in 14 Indian languages as well.
Yeah.
Right? But a lot of the kids who don't necessarily speak English fluently would watch it in English because they think it's cool, although it's available in Haryanvi or Odia. They watch it in English because FU sounds great in English and not so much in their local language. You know, that's
Comes from the original version.
yeah.
Okay.
So still like even when you localizing it so heavy, still the 80% of the box office is of the original version in English.
Okay.
So I think it's also people kind of I mean with the popular films also what happens is if you dub Mission Impossible, I know what Tom Cruise sounds like. I don't want to hear anybody else say his dialogue. So that makes a lot of difference as well.
Okay, cool. All right, so question to maybe Rosa and Toran, both of you. I mean, you guys. I know you. India is a country of volumes, like we've discussed before, and there's a lot of new formats coming up in terms of entertainment online in the online space, short form. What kind of opportunities, maybe Rosa, do you see in those? I know you're a creative producer as well. You work in sort of other formats as well than film. So India having the volumes that we don't, do you see any opportunities for collaboration there?
There's great disruption brings also great opportunity in a way, because not to be too lengthy about it, but writer strike, actor strike, COVID, streamers, etc., have sort of completely messed up the old sort of systems of middlemen that would sort of sell and distribute, etc., etc. So we're facing a completely new market, and the way how people consume and how we can engage people, and IPs are actually just anything that's tried and tested and is interesting to the audience, interesting enough for them to pay a price, either watch ads to consume it or then pay money to consume it. So I think there's tremendous opportunity, and of course I know Tarun is into shorts and verticals. That's of course very emerging at the moment. In Finland we still haven't figured out how to monetize on that, because that too, as we've talked, is a volume business. That to monetize on verticals, licensing them and making them, you have to actually make a lot of them. And let's say, for instance, we are not in the Nordics yet sort of well versed enough to maybe make that, but I'm sure that will come. So if someone doesn't know what are verticals, they are just series that are very short form that you watch on a vertical format. So on your phone you binge them on your phone, and it started, I'm sure you guys know better, but it started from maybe Asian long commutes and that kind of thing. And of course the whole creator economy is all the time sort of promoting this way of storytelling. I'll give it to Taron now for his take.
Thank you, Radha. I just want to just add a little bit context in terms of, the opportunities are directly correlated to the audience which is there. And just for context, the oldest millennial will turn 45 this year, and the oldest Gen Z would turn 29 this year. Okay, so that's the kind of audience we're talking about. So the world is getting younger, and also there is, the millennials are also getting older. So when we're talking about opportunities, those opportunities need to be targeted towards the audience. And if you're in the volume business, you need to understand where that volume is coming from. And so to give an example of microdramas, the maximum audience comes from age 20 and over. Okay, they are absolutely sleazy, very cheesy, but the audience like it because it's simple to watch. You could be at your doctor's appointment or stuck in traffic or a long commute from Turku to Helsinki. Okay, you can watch the entire series, and that is kind of bringing in the volumes because audience behavior is changing. And we as creators, we need to understand what our audience wants, and that's what you need to deliver to them. So that's pretty much.
You wrapped it up at exactly 1 minute, so yeah, you did well.
All right, so yeah, thanks to all the panelists here. We need to let in the next people in after some minutes. But yeah, thanks all, everybody.
Thank you. Great discussion. Okay, so now we're gonna have 30 minutes of break, and I hope that you will be back here 10 past. Oh yes, thank you for the streamers. And the next panel is called Experiences on Publisher, Artist and Songwriting Collaboration. So see you at 15 past 3. I think we. Yes, welcome back to Logomo, to Songs and Sessions 2026, and we're just about to start the second panel, and we have our panelists on the stage. The panel is called Experiences on Publisher Artist Songwriting Collaboration. And so, welcome moderator Henrik Tala from Song Asia. And Bumi, artist and songwriter. Kyösti Salokorpi, songwriter and vice chair, Finnish Music Creators. And Tommi Tuomainen, founder and CEO of Elements Music. Stage is yours, Henrik.
Thank you very much. Thank you for my fantastic guests joining the panel. My name is Henrik. I run a company called Song Asia, and we focus on curating and facilitating songwriting camps. The title of the panel is It Means Everything and Nothing at the Same Time. And that was done intentionally because I wanted to live and breathe this amazing songwriting camp we've had for the past 2 days here in Turku, focusing on collaborating between Finnish and Indian cultures, working towards the pop and the audiovisual sector as well. Could I please have you introduce yourselves briefly before I get into the questions, maybe starting with Kyösti?
Hey, my name is Kyösti Salokorpi. I'm a kind of a long-time Finnish songwriter. I've been writing songs for different artists for 2 decades now, and I also, for the last few years, I've been part of the songwriters organization in Finland. I'm the vice chair of the Finnish Music Creators, so I kind of represent the pop songwriters in the organization.
Hi, I'm Bumi, and I'm an artist, songwriter, and producer from India, and I primarily make Tamil and English music. And yeah, that's about it. I've been making music kind of all my life because I've been learning music since I was really young. So yeah, that's about it.
Yes, Tommi, I'm a music publisher, which means we represent songwriters, both business-wise and creatively, try to create opportunities for the songwriters to make a living out of music and have some fun. Had the company, we started it 20 years ago, started off doing international pretty much from the beginning, working as sort of from the needs and the personalities of the songwriters. We realized that some of the people were perhaps better matched to work in other territories than locally, and also looking for the opportunities for the writers to reach their potential. So we went off right from the start, opening new markets for us and our writers, traveling to Japan, South Korea, America, Central Europe, and still on that journey. Never been to India, really looking forward to doing that next.
Yeah, maybe you'll go to India after this panel and, sometime in the future.
Yeah, like straight away. Hopefully.
But so, Bumi, I want to start with you. It's your first time in Finland, correct? So you've spent a good 48 hours, day and night, now with songwriters with different cultural backgrounds, as well as songwriters with similar backgrounds from India, but also maybe, I guess, different because you're from different regions in the country. Maybe just tell the audience, how was the experience? What were you expecting when you came here? What did you learn? And then, and then how does that compare to your daily grind as an artist and a songwriter when you're back at home in India?
I think it's been, first of all, it's been like a great experience so far working with everybody. Everyone has been so friendly and so kind, and that's great. I love the vibes. But I think I wasn't expecting anything, because usually when I go in expecting something, And if I don't get what I'm expecting, I'm not the happiest, you know. But then when you go in blind, anything can happen, and it's the most beautiful experience, and you'll actually learn from it, you'll actually grow from it. And I think that's what happened here, and I think that's the case. I might be speaking for everybody when I think that's the case. But I was actually super nervous. I was like, okay, so these people don't know Tamil. What are we gonna do? So I like came a little tiny little bit prepared, because I didn't want us to just like kind of stare at each other in the room, you know. So I came a bit prepared, and I think it was so beautiful because like everyone was so reciprocative, and we kind of found that perfect balance between like a pure pop record and an Indian pop record. And like we found that sweet spot, and we were living in that sweet spot, and it was such a nice little spot to be in. But as like, you know, compared to like differences, I think usually back in India, every single day I'm working, which is like not unlike this camp, but usually my day is divided into like a lot of like outside other work that goes into being an artist, like physical fitness, dance, a lot of discipline in many different ways. And it was really nice to just be like, okay, screw all of that, let's just focus on the music. Like that's beautiful, because I am in it for the music. I want it, like I'm only doing that because I have to do it, but I'm doing the music because I want to do it. So I think that was so nice to be in a room full of people that want to do music and are in it for the music and are just passionate about it, and we just got to speak the same language, and that was really, really cool.
Amazing. That's very nice to hear. And going back to when you're back at home and working towards your artist project or some film music, is the process the same? Do you get paired with total strangers, or do you mainly work with the same people? Do you collaborate, or do you write all your songs by yourself? Maybe tell us a little bit about that process.
So back at home, I have a set of collaborators that I feel get my vision, you know, like just get it. It's like that feeling, and when you find people that get the feeling and feel the feeling, it's like you can't go wrong working with them. And I think that's what it's like back at home in India. I have my constant collaborators, one of them being my mom, actually, because she helps me write my lyrics. And like when I make a mistake, she's like, yo, are you stupid? Like, what are you writing? So that's great to like work with my mom and be humbled. But like I work with her, and I work with this brilliant like mix engineer, mastering engineer, and producer named Pixel, and we have an EP out together. You guys should stream it. But yeah, but like we work together, and it's just really nice actually like finding people, you know, through this experience that also understand the vision. And when I'm like lecturing them about the vision, they're like, yeah. And they're not like, oh my God, can you shut up? That's amazing. That's really cool.
I think that's a lot down to your communication skills also, you know, explaining to them. What I understood was, you know, they were kind of following the leader, and you were the leader in those sessions because you were the brief as well. So it's amazing that you were able to communicate that to the other writers in the room. Kyösti. So let's look at it from the other side. You've been making music for a good amount of time. How do you feel after this deep dive / crash course into the Indian music market? What have you learned? What's interesting? You know, talk us through your thoughts.
Well, first of all, it's been a really, truly a great experience. I started listening to Indian music a few years ago, just for no reason, basically because there are just like so many great songs, like O Antawa that Rafael mentioned, like O Antawa Mawa, O Antawa Mawa. It's such a banger. Yeah, like one of my favorite songs from this decade easily. But yeah, like yeah, but I really didn't also kind of. I mean, the Nordic writers are really kind of used to doing co-writes every week with different artists and songwriters and producers. But I think that's more kind of a newish thing in India maybe. So, but I really didn't know what to expect when I came here. But Bhumi and the guys Rohan, Charan and Karan were really easygoing and easy to work with and very friendly. And it was just kind of maybe it took kind of 5 minutes in the room to just click and kind of start doing music. And it was because first of all, like vocalists like Bhumi who have like been training in like classical, it's like Carnatic, like kind of it's like a such a different approach to kind of writing the melody lines. There's so much for us to learn also as Nordic songwriters and all the kind of song structures that have maybe are more have to do more with storytelling in the because it's so connected to the films like stories, so you can have like a totally kind of like different kinds of song structures, and also the way you approach the kind of moods are I think more connected to it's like a sad romance or a kind of a the genres are kind of maybe we think about we're going to do like a trap song or a house song or something like that. Maybe you can maybe think more about the mood and the kind of the emotion in the storytelling. So it's really like a I'd really like to do more of this and kind of learn more from the Indian music industry.
So would you say this was a positive experience for you, and would you in the future consider a trip to traveling to India to work more towards
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
markets?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, great. Then we have our publisher representative here on the panel, Tommi. Tommi, you've been running your own publishing company for 20 plus years. Congratulations. I think you mentioned when you introduced yourself that from the very beginning, as a publisher 20 years ago, when you started the company, you took an international focus for the company, and that was a conscious decision that you and your company co-workers made. But if we talk about the sort of the songwriting ecosystem in Finland, what has happened in the songwriting community in the last 20 years that we are now able to sit at a panel like this and have Finnish songwriters collaborate with artists and songwriters from India? What are, looking back, are there some key steps? Because you also were the chair of the the board of the Music Publishers Association for 14 years. So you have a lot of industry insights and knowledge. How did we sort of evolve as a songwriting and music publisher community in the last 20 years that we're now able to send our writers to various markets?
Oh, I can barely remember yesterday, so you're asking me to look back 20 years in what's happened. No, but of course I remember some things, one of which was the creation or the development of what Music Finland is today. An organization for a small country, there's a limited amount of companies operating internationally, a limited amount of maybe talent who are focusing on the international market. So an organization like Music Finland bringing these companies and people together has enabled us to reach out to many of the most important and most interesting international markets. So working both songwriters and companies working together to reach common goals like exporting Finnish music talent has been one important step. For many of the writers who work professionally and try to reach international markets, they have learned. Okay, let's take it even further back to the times before I became an entrepreneur and setting up my company. I would say that Finland was not a co-writing market. It was very uncommon for groups of people just getting together for a day and writing for an artist who's not in the room. It was basically professional songwriters who wrote the music on paper, be it lyrics or the music, or then a few people, the bands practicing together, writing their songs, but we didn't have the songwriting culture. So in my previous job at BMG, multinational music publisher, we sort of started importing the Swedish way of working, like the songwriting teams and the sessions and the camps. But at that time, I don't think Finland was ready, and we didn't have the support from other publishers maybe to do that. But slowly, the world evolved a little bit, and along came Music Finland, who had crazy people who said, you know, let's bring in people from Sweden and Japan and US and whatever, and we were like, okay, let's do it. And the writers sort of got used to that, and it's become a part of what we do daily, be it for international artists or projects or locally with Finnish pop artists. So that's definitely changed. So there's way more people who just can jump in the room, have done it before, and you know, they know a little bit what to expect from that day. But then a new market comes in with India. Everyone's sort of starting anew, and it's fresh, and it's really cool to do this. I mean, I'm really excited. I'm here to learn.
Cool, thank you. And I would maybe like to ask you, Esti, you know, if let's talk about, you know, the sort of I guess the most interesting and competitive market in Asia now, which is Korea. You have professional songwriters in Finland who are actively, and all the actually, you know, Sweden is very successful in Korea, Norway is very successful in Korea. We're in third place probably, but we're, you know, I feel like every year we're becoming more successful in Korea. But when you write towards Korea, there's a very certain genre. Of course, there's lots of artists within that country, but there's that K-pop sound. And even in, you know, maybe in the last 2 years, it's come a little closer to our music here in Europe and the US, and the songs are not structurally so complicated, and there's not a rap section right before the second chorus. You know, all these rules you had to sort of know when working towards Korea. How would you say that writing for artists in India, is it just the feeling and the flow and the vibe, or is there something you have to keep in mind, like, okay, now I'm going to put on my hat for the Indian market, or just based on what you've learned in the last 2 days, is it like, would you say it's more similar to writing for an artist in Finland or writing for an artist in Korea?
Wow, that's a tricky one. I'll start with the Korean part first. It's been a while since there are actually writers in this room that are more actively writing K-pop at the moment than I am. But it's I think they also we started kind of doing K-pop maybe around 2010 or something, like kind of when in the Sandcastle camps, like by Music Finland or Music Export. I think the Koreans also came to like approach Scandinavian songwriters because they also wanted to have kind of our sound and our sensibility in the music, and that I think that's still the case, that we don't like fully adapt. We also kind of keep our style and our kind of melodic language in the production ideas, and that's what we kind of are expected to do, and then we kind of adapt. But it's also like when I'm working with different Finnish artists, it's not like it's the same form always. I always have to adapt to the artist's kind of mindset and try to think of the next step in that artist's career in a way, kind of do a bit of A&R work, you could say maybe, and it's always. It's a bit like kind of doing design work. It's you have to kind of adapt to the kind of think of the end product, and when it comes to India, it's like we as Finnish and Nordic songwriters, we really don't have no idea about how the song structure should be, how long the song should be, how the like which parts should come like after which, and it's like we just have to, you know, talk. We just have to ask around, like ask our Indian colleagues and kind of learn. You know, there's no easy answer to that, but it's I think it's always kind of you always have to kind of communicate.
Yeah, absolutely. And the main point I was trying to maybe get an answer to is because Korea is a very pitch-friendly market. you can write a song for the Korean market. In Korea, the artist is in many cases not involved in the creation process at all in the song. But in Finland, your chances are infinitely better if the artist is in the room with you. So would you say, just a short answer, that if you were to continue working for the Indian market, do you strongly feel that it's very important that the artist is a part of the creation process?
Well, to be honest, we haven't pitched any of the songs yet, and my publisher Tommy is here with me, so yeah, I can maybe answer in a month or so. I don't know how the pitching process goes. Well, that's something we'll have to see. I think Bumi might have better answers to this question than I do. I really don't know yet because we have a bunch of songs that I think are really good, but I don't know how they'll land. And
Yeah. So if you pass the mic to Bumi, so I'll ask I guess, is it possible for an international songwriter to have success in India, in your opinion, if they're not working with the artist directly or the film director? If it's for is there a pitch market for songs in India, or is it important to have the artist in the room?
I think this is so similar to the answers that we've heard before, but India is so big, anything's gonna work. There's different types of artists. There's artists like me who insist on being in the room. There's artists that also don't necessarily need to feel the need to be in the room, because their magic comes when they're behind the booth for recording final vocals. That's when their input really takes the song to the next level. And there's so many different types of artists. There's so many different types of pitches as well. You can pitch for OTT platforms, you can pitch for movies, you can pitch for so many different things, independent non-film music or whatever. There's so many different ways and little nooks and crannies that you can get your music out. And I think the only thing that the Indian audience really, really, really wants to hear is a representation of their emotion, because India is a very emotional country, and we're very proud that we're very emotional, and we love being emotional, and I think it's a beautiful thing to be emotional, and I think we just want to hear that, we want to live that, we want to feel that, because we're such a film-oriented country that we want to be the main character, we want to listen to the song and we're yeah, I'm that girl. I was gonna say something else, but you know what I mean? That's what we want. We just want to feel seen, and I think if you just get that right, then you got the brief right.
Okay, thank you. Fantastic answer. Tommi, so you're a publisher, and
still am. Yeah.
You still am. Yeah. At least, yeah. Today, and you just mentioned. I think it became clear that you are Kyösti's publisher here.
Yeah.
Yes. So, it's a hypothetical, but you can maybe answer the question through past success stories for different markets. If Elements Music makes the decision next week that, hey, India is going to be a target market for us, and we're going to spend the next few years building our roster, to have success in India. What are the most important things as a publisher that you need to learn and understand about the market before you would even try and convince your songwriters to enter that market? Maybe you speak about, when you went to Korea or Japan, what were some of the things that from a business perspective that you wanted to know and have a full understanding of before trying to enter that market?
Yeah, perhaps I should use Japan as an example, which is kind of particular, also creatively, and what the music market looks like, what the audience loves. It's particular, but also the business rules and how music publishing and the rights flow. It's quite different from us. So when we went there the first time, maybe pretty much 20 years ago, we didn't know much. So we had to try to find the people who we could communicate with, learn from, who could educate us, be it how the music works. Is this a great song for a Japanese artist? Why is it? Why isn't it? So we had a sub-publisher who did that for us. And one great comment that when with a Japanese person, typically it takes quite a long time to build trust, and when you do, it's like a fin, slowly warming up. And when you do have trust, then you have it, but it takes time. So after a couple of years going back and forth, trying to let us know, explain more. Our sub-publisher in Japan said, about all these provisions and the rules, and you need to give publishing to the management and all that. Don't worry, we'll take care of you. And I was like, okay. And that's like a sigh of relief. Yeah, we have a partner, we can trust them. We don't have to try to, enforce our way of thinking about copyright and how the business works and all of that. And that's why having people like Rafael, who's a lawyer who understands how the IP works and what the business is expecting if we want to have success, that's really important. And us having Sony Music Publishing has an office in India. There's a team who can always support us, and we would need to rely on them to help our writers and us getting those songs across, saying yes to the sometimes very strange, rules that we're expected to live by, giving away 100% of publishing. Maybe, we'll figure it out. But as long as there's something interesting for our writers, we have the infrastructure that can support us. We know the people who we need to reach out to. It could work, and we will need to learn about the music and how it works and what the artists expect and how they work. And can I keep on going? I still have one sort of reference. Yeah, with the Japan example, we had some writers who were doing a lot of K-pop. Didn't kind of work. There was something a little off about those songs. They tried to do J-pop as well, but didn't really educate themselves enough in order to understand the song structure and all of that. But then the K-pop wave hit Japan, but it sort of adapted into a Japanese version of K-pop. So they made the Japanese version of the K-pop songs, which were different. And suddenly some of these girls fitted in to this Japanese version of K-pop. And we had learned sort of the differences and were able to pitch some songs. And through that, we actually got our first #1 when we were listening to songs in Japan and sort of, so why does this feel off and why would this work and so forth. And then on the plane, I'm taking the credit here. It's probably due to someone else, but I'm still taking the credit. So on the plane, I was like, oh my gosh, we have the perfect song for this. It never worked in Korea, but it could work for a Korean artist in Japan. And that was Electric Boy that Kara performed, which was amazing. Sort of, finally I learned something about this market. But it took a long time, and we needed support, and we're definitely going to need good friends in India in order for us to be successful there as well.
Yeah, so local trusted partners is a big key point.
Yeah, also spending time there or with them is very important for, taking enough time to learn about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Boomi, maybe I can just shortly ask you, I'll ask you another question right after, but based on what Tommi just said, I mean, it's been only 2 days. It's been like a crash course for the Finnish writers into the Indian music market, the musical styles. What's your personal opinion on, the Finnish writers who joined? I wish I could ask all of our international guests who are at the camp, but you're here representing your country now at this panel. Do you think in just 2 days were the Finnish writers able to quickly grasp onto what you were looking for musically in general, or were there some tension points that were dealt with in the sessions that how do you feel that in just 2 days and 2 sessions our writers were able to adapt to your musical culture?
I think so, like in a really like fluid way. I think because it's music at the end of the day, and it's emotion at the end of the day. And if you just like get that right, and if you just understand that, then you got everything. Because like we're all the same, we're all humans, we all feel the same things, we all experience very similar things. There's barely any original experiences anymore. And I think like when you find that commonality and when you find that like humanity in the music, that's when you really get it. Because I think like in my room with Emilia and with like Frida and with Jonas, like we were just talking like in the language of the song, not exactly like necessarily Tamil, not English, but just like the way that the things that the music needed. And when you all have the same common goal of like, okay, screw everything, all that matters is that this piece of music sounds good. Like, it doesn't matter, what you're doing. It doesn't matter the label of whether this fits into a pop record, it's a rock record, it's a drum and bass record, it's an R&B record. Like, none of it matters. It's just, is the song good? Like, is the song making me feel? Is the song something that I would be like proud to say, like, oh my god, I made this in Finland, and I blah blah blah, like the story behind the song. There's so many songs that are made, but is this song, like, does it represent who you are right now, who all of us were in that very moment of creating that chord progression? We might not be able to lyrically put it all into the song, but through, like, one person's opinion of this chord, no, this changes, this color, that's them. Like, that's you, that's your personality, and that's your flavor, and that's what brings like such magic and changes like a record. That's the point of working with people, because if I made that song on my own, I would not like it as much. And I want to work with more people because I want like opinion, and I want, like, even if it's like just a stray person walking past like saying, "Ooh, that sounded funny." Like, I want that, you know what I mean? It's just like it all adds, and it's all such magic. It's like where musicians are such magical people, and it's really cool that you get to be musicians and you get to talk music and you get to understand music even past the lyrics, like just through the production, through the like harmonies, through the everything.
Yeah, what a refreshing answer. I think because in some markets there's some very strict boxes, and you need to check some boxes. At least in the past, things are obviously changing every day. But you brought up language, yours being Tamil, if I'm correct. But you listen to music in other languages in India as well. And one thing that I learned is, you don't really care what language the song is. You can enjoy it just as much, even if it's not in your own. Is that correct?
Yeah, like honestly, when I listen to a Tamil song, I'm listening to the production. I'm only like, oh, that's what they were saying much later. Like, and I think that's what's really cool. It is that India is like, there's so much. There's so much history. It's like there's so much story. There's so much to learn from. And all I want to do is like, through this like blessing that I get to make music, through this blessing that I get to live at a time where there's technology, where there's like a computer where I can produce, I can layer my vocals, and I can like redefine what traditionalism means and what culture means. And like, that is such a cool thing to do. Like, I get to lead the way, or like, screw that, I get to even do it. Like, I get to be a person who can do this in Tamil and in English, and I get the chance to make Tamil global, and I get the shot at being a girl doing that. Like, that is insane to me.
So a song from Chennai, which is in the southern part of India, can be very successful in like the northern parts where Punjabi is the language.
Yeah.
So the language doesn't really matter, because what's interesting,
No.
I guess, from our perspective is, if you look at the Spotify top 50 in Finland, unless Ed Sheeran or Taylor Swift has released an album, or if it's Christmas, all the other weeks, throughout the year, I would say between 45 and 48 out of the 50 songs are in Finnish. And we're sort of language locked into this concept that if you want to be a Finnish artist and have success in Finland, we've had many artists in Finland who started in English, and a lot of them have gone through that conversation with their A&R at the label. Hey, think about it. Like, would you be willing to switch into Finnish? And then you've seen their careers take off. But in India, this is clearly not the case, and you can choose your language, and people accept that. Is that correct?
Honestly, it wasn't the case like a few years ago. Like, a few years ago, even I felt the pressure to maybe make music in a particular language, because that was the only language. And it actually wasn't because there was pressure. It's because there was nobody in other languages putting out music at a scale where I would be able to reach it. And then over time, that obviously changed, because look at the charts now. Like, it's beautiful. Like, there's Malayalam, there's Haryanvi, there's Gujarati, there's like Punjabi, there's Hindi, it's so much. There's Telugu, I see artists like popping up every single day on my Instagram feed, and I have like tune my algorithm to put me onto new artists. Okay, so because I need to know what's happening, and I want to know what's happening because I want to meet these magical people, and if like if it fits, I want to make music with these magical people because they're magic, and we should make magic together. And like it doesn't even matter what like language you're saying; it just matters your intention and like what you bring to the table, and that's so cool.
So now I finally get to the question I was originally, we took a little side detour there. But, you know, Tommy was saying like when they started working in Japan, it took a lot of time and, you know, they had a trusted sub-publisher there, a local company that was helping them out. And, you know, that was a key factor in being able to even enter the market. If, you know, Kyösti here, you know, there's major labels in India, not in the same way that we have them here. Their, you know, their market share dominance is not the same as in, you know, other parts of the world. But India is also known for a lot of independent artists, so artists that are not signed to a label. For example, there's a platform called Madverse, which represents over 250,000 artists, if I'm not mistaken. If Kyösti, you know, and Tommy decide that, hey, Kyösti's next career move is going to be India, and he's going to put all his time and energy for the next 3 years. If you don't have those labels, if there's so many independent artists, how does Kyösti find the right artists that he should be working with? In your opinion, you just mentioned Instagram, social media. Does he need to get on the socials now and just start like tuning his algorithm to figure out who to work with? Or, you know, what's the strategy for Kyösti coming to India and finding the right projects? Does he call you and you introduce him to your friends?
Yeah, sure. You can borrow my phone for a bit. Yeah, I think so. Like, the reason Instagram is so important, I mean, obviously there's no TikTok. If there was TikTok, I would be saying TikTok. But like the reason Instagram is so important is because that's like the one place where you remove a middleman. You just freaking post. Like, you can do anything. You can be in your PJs and you can be like lip syncing to your song that you made yesterday and you post. And that's how you find artists. Like, it's insane. I've seen like some random dude from Haryana and like there's Don Tolliver in his comments. And I'm like, yeah, that's what it's about. Yeah, like that's what it's about. It doesn't matter anymore who you are. Like, of course it matters who you are, but it doesn't matter like any background or anything. Instagram is the one place you're kind of at a level playing field. Of course there's different levels to that because like there's labels and there's people who do influencer marketing and obviously things like that, but at least this gives you like a shot, you know. And as an independent artist, a shot is so important because that can be your golden ticket to be like the biggest artist in the world.
Amazing, thank you. Okay, so we have 3 minutes left, so I'm going to ask a 1-minute answer from each of you, so we end on time. So if everybody here wants to turn sort of these sessions into future collaboration and success in the Indian market for Finnish songwriters and companies, what do you think are the most important next steps? And we start with Kyösti.
Yeah, I think I would think it's kind of the same thing in any market. You just kind of you have a certain amount of context here. I know there's 4 people from the Indian music business, and then there's the local publisher. I just kind of go there and try to work my way up into the best possible session rooms I can be in. It's like, I don't know, it's just like you do your job and you try to do it well and hope that the word goes out and you get like approached by people. But it's like, yeah, but also I think I'm sure like Nordic songwriters and Indian songwriters can do amazing stuff together if we just get some. Obviously the copyright thing is a bit different from like if we're not talking about the creative side, but the kind of the business side, the way copyright is the publishing rights are handled in India is a bit different, so we'd have to kind of probably my publisher wants to kind of work out how we get the kind of money part going, but other than that, it's just meeting people and making good music.
So would the rule that 80% of it is showing up apply strongly here?
I don't know the percentages. You go there and you create like magical music with people. And what Boomi just said about the kind of blessing of being able to write songs, I'd like to kind of, it was so beautiful. I 100% agree on that. I want to kind of print it out and frame it on the studio wall.
Okay, Boomi, your answer, 1 minute. The next steps for creating success between our two countries.
Make music. That's it. Just like make music, reach out to people, make music, just reach out to people more, make music more. I think that's about it, because good music is going to travel and good music is going to land. And whether it's now, whether it's 10 years from now, that's like God's timing. But what you can do is you can act and just act.
Fantastic, thank you. And Tommy?
What was the question again?
So
About next steps.
Next steps to create success between Finland and India.
One thing that is oftentimes forgotten to mention is that if we can create opportunity here for someone from India, it will usually end up in us getting help for our writers having something happen in India as well. So it's sort of an exchange of both talent and opportunity, and Finland could be a platform towards the European market. The Finnish business can help out an Indian artist to get some traction in Europe, or Northern Europe, or Scandinavia at least. So that's maybe one thing. The second is decision to do and dedicate. So showing up definitely is 80%. Being there, just raising your hand saying this is something I want to do is very important for us to get the realization that this guy is actually serious about it. So then we can give the support. I will reach out to the Sony offices saying that, hey, here we are. Listen to these couple of tracks from QS. He's nuts enough to, leave behind his fantastic career as a songwriter in the Nordics, and he wants to take over India. So can you help? Because he's going to come over. So that sort of, making a decision. This is important for us. Is like step one, I'd say.
Thank you. And then because we have 1.5 minutes, Boomi, I just want to end on this final question. Spin off from what Tommy just said, that maybe here we can help artists, in the European markets. As an artist yourself with over 7 million monthly listeners on Spotify, 100+ million streams on just one song, how do you feel about maybe one day releasing a song together with a European artist? Would you see that as a positive move for your career or not?
100%. The point is to go global. So like the point is to make more music with so many people, because I don't think there's anything that is stopping us. Like the audience will love something that's good and something that's honest and something that's true. And if me working with any artist in the world is honest and true and meant to happen, and like a meaningful collaboration, not just a collaboration for the sake of collaboration, but a meaningful collaboration that makes sense to both of us, and we bring to each other's worlds what we bring to our own worlds, then
And now with the recent success of Hanumankind, for example, I think he's opened a door that maybe was not open just a few years ago for all the artists in India.
And he did it so beautifully.
Yeah.
Like he did it in a way that represented where he's from. Have you seen that video? It's insane.
Yeah.
Like that's how you're supposed to do it. See, people love a story, people love culture, people love representation. So just do it the way that you feel like you have to do it, because God will bless you.
We're all very excited to see you do it next. So.
Thank you. Me too, dude.
All right, yeah. I want to say thank you to all our fantastic panelists. Let's give them a big round of applause.
Yes, thank you, panelists, and thank you everybody in here and online. And a blog and all the recordings are at kreve.fi, and you can have it there. And I have to say, Boomi, I mean, like you said that. You got me so emotional there. You said that Indian people, you love emotions and you want to be and you want to cherish that. And you're an interpreter. I mean, when I take the train and go back at home, I will definitely hear your music, because you are the interpreter of emotions. I mean, even to hear you talk about your emotions, it really I'm quite sure that it happened to everybody in this room. It's like you described it perfectly, what happened in that room, what happens when you are talking about your emotions, and we all catch that. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Glad you do music.
Me too.
Thank you. Yes, so media interviews are continuing in the lobby.